Ladies and gentlemen, it's a bye week for the Raiders, which means it's a bit of a news drought, but one Raiders reporter managed to make his own news, which led to hilarious beef on X amongst Raiders reporters. Plus, did former Raiders general manager Dave Ziegler try and throw his homie Josh McDaniels under the bus? We'll look at whether that's fake news. And the Raiders play the Vikings at Allegiant Stadium for their first December game. Could quarterback Aiden O'Connell and interim head coach Antonio Pierce make their case for a long-term role? All that and more will be discussed. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for more NFL content from me, Wi-Fi Willie. So there have been a series of mysterious reports from Hondo Carpenter after Josh McDaniels has been fired, and there's also been some reports by him about who the next head coach of the Raiders could be. However, other reporters have clapped back at this, and the reporters who clap back at this aren't just any reporter, but some of the top ones that cover the Raiders. So initially, we had a report about Dave Ziegler and how Dave Ziegler wanted all these great things to happen, but Josh McDaniels just got in the way. You had Hondo Carpenter claiming that Ziegler wanted to draft CJ Stroud, but Josh McDaniels just wouldn't let him. And a lot of people feel like there's just a lot of stuff here that does not seem true. One crazy quote, and this is huge D writing of Dave Ziegler, by the way, saying that Ziegler didn't need McDaniels. Ziegler could have been a GM just on his own, even though Mark Davis admitted that the reason why he hired Dave Ziegler is because he was able to grab Josh McDaniels. It's so crazy because if there's any truth at all to these leaks, it is just Dave Ziegler's camp giving this to Hondo Carpenter to try to make his resume look good and distinguish himself from genius Josh McDaniels. That would mean that Ziegler is throwing his old homie under the bus, his college friend, coming up through the ranks of New England, eating Boston scrod, and now because he's worried about not being able to get a GM job in the future, he's willing to say, oh, every great decision that could have been made, I wanted to do it, but Josh McDaniels got in the way. I wanted to play more rookies. Josh McDaniels said no. I wanted CJ Stroud. Josh McDaniels said no. They really think that we're so stupid and we're going to just forget how this was all set up. This was set up as Josh McDaniels' team. Ziegler was only hired because he was friends of Josh McDaniels, and this was pretty much a Mike Mayock Gruden situation. Everybody knew that was the case going into the McDaniels regime. And that is why you have Vincent Bozignor of the Las Vegas Review-Journal, one of the top reporters around the Raiders, commenting about some of these Ziegler reports. Bill Williamson of SB Nation says he finds it hilarious that Ziegler and his camp is out there disassociating from McDaniels to get a job. Hey, cool, you had a Stroud trade pipe dream just like the rest of the league. You're hired. Pathetic. But Vinny B retweets this and says, be careful what you read. There's fantasy land stuff out there that isn't even close to being accurate. These people are saying that these reports that Ziegler is just such a saint, McDaniels the devil, pushed him into the wild bad side. Vinny B and the rest of these people are basically saying this is fantasy land made up stuff. You had some more reports that went viral on Twitter. And by the way, I want to just say this isn't all Hondo Carpenter. I think he does know what he's doing, saying some information out there that's not quite a report. You know, you say something like insider thinks this, and then you make it seem like it's actually breaking news. Like insider thinks that Mark Davis might hire Rich Bisaccia, or insider believes he has sources close to Mark Davis that believe he would be into Bisaccia. It's not quite a lie, but it's a little misleading. And some of the stuff is common sense stuff, but it's just packaged as breaking news. And I don't think it's all Hondo Carpenter's fault. I think there are a lot of reposters and aggregators that kind of make this worse than it really has to be. When somebody claims to be an insider, when somebody claims to have so much access, then any statement they say becomes a headline. Hondo Carpenter said, if Mark Davis is going on his gut, I think Rich Bisaccia has a very good chance. Not as good as Antonio Pierce or John Gruden, but a very good chance. And this is a guy just saying his opinion out of nowhere. This isn't news. This isn't breaking news. But when you claim to be an insider with access, people are going to take what you say as news. People who claim to have these kind of credentials need to speak a little more carefully. And that is why you had Vic Tafur of The Athletic taking this quote here by Hondo Carpenter that Raiders Beat is talking about and saying, bruh, the made up BS is getting out of control. First, Ziegler's a saint. Now Mark Davis wants to hire Rich Bisaccia if he's going with his gut, depending on what he ate that morning. Vinny B retweeted this. So you have the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Vinny B talking about these kind of unverified reports, and also The Athletic Vic Tafur talking about it, both agreeing there's some made up stuff out there. And you also have LVRJ Adam Hill saying, Raiders fans, would you prefer stories to be generated by AI or real reporters who just post a combination of total fabrications and unverified claims from people people with an agenda that runs unvetted. Clearly digging at Hondo Carpenter, people with an agenda, the agenda being making Ziegler look good, fluffing up his resume, and also the agenda to get clicks, to make an opinion sound like news, sound like it's a new development, when really it's not a report at all, and it's just somebody saying their opinion about how they think somebody feels. That somebody being Mark Davis. But it's just absolutely hilarious that the Raiders are such a dramatic fan base that we even have beat reporter beef. There was also some more statements from Hondo Carpenter that Vinny B thought were inaccurate, and that was Hondo Carpenter saying that Mark Davis could remove the interim coaching tag from Antonio Pierce. Mark Davis is actually not allowed to do that. That's not part of the rules. You have to go through an exhaustive search when you're hiring a new head coach. You can't just annoy Antonio Pierce, the head coach, right away in the middle of the season. Vinny B is explaining this, saying that that's the NFL's policy when it comes to head coach and GM jobs. You got to do an exhaustive search, interviewing a bunch of external candidates. There's also the Rooney Rule and all kinds of different regulations. You have people claiming, and I don't know for sure, that Hondo said Mark Davis could remove this interim tag, and Vinny B is trying to say that's not accurate, but you have a lot of people believing that this is the case. In the end, regardless of the rules, I don't think Antonio Pierce has done enough yet to be the long-term head coach of the Raiders, but he still has some time to make his case. And the NFL is curious about what the Raiders are going to do. The Raiders are becoming a huge franchise, one of the wealthiest franchises in the NFL. You have the president, Sandra Douglas Morgan, talking to Roger Goodell at a Super Bowl kickoff brunch. Goodell called Vegas Sportstown USA. Kind of hard audio to hear this clip, but basically Goodell gave a shout out to young quarterbacks in the NFL. Did not mention Aiden O'Connell, and Sandra Douglas Morgan slipped that in. Antonio Pierce will have to make his case as the head coach, and Aiden O'Connell will have to make his case as the future quarterback of the Raiders as they face the Minnesota Vikings at home. The big story will be if this defense is able to continue to improve and if Justin Jefferson will really be activated to play. A lot of people think he's going to make his return. Unfortunately, against the Raiders, he'll be catching passes from quarterback Joshua Dobbs. We'll see what happens here as the Raiders are 3-point underdogs. Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments below. We will be live during this Raiders versus Vikings game on this channel, so make sure you check it out. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.